Hey there, so today we have another review. This is a beer from Sierra Nevada. This is probably, no, it is my third time reviewing this beer for the channel. I had it as fresh as I had it dumb fresh on draft like in July, which is actually really crazy, which is going to be one of my favorite beers of the year. And then I had it in a mix pack and then older mix pack, and then now it's probably even older than that. So this was canned 3 months ago. So this is part of that mix case that I got from Costco. Great deal. Not the freshest beer, but love this beer. And very curious how it does with a little bit more age on it, right? So now we got 3 iterations. I think I probably have had it, let's say, from anywhere from a month. Well, I haven't reviewed it for you guys that fresh, but I've had it anywhere from a few weeks to a month to 2 months, and now 3 months fresh. So Flipside IPA, and that's probably the last of it until, whatever happens in 2024. This probably won't be posted, but this is at the end of 2023. So hope you guys makes sense for you guys. Yeah, Flipside Red IPA. Let's check this guy out. Red IPA, the beer comes in a wonderful kind of like a medium amber color. Really nice kind of like maroonish kind of flavored color to it. Tannish head to it. Yeah, it smells like what I'm familiar with. A little bit of what is fresh, a little bit more crazy, but on the nose, a little bit of marijuana berries, goji berry, cranberries, cherries, raspberry, a little bit of that kind of berry note, a little bit of like green marijuana character to it, some of that dankness, a little bit of like bread crusted biscuit malt and caramel sweetness, a little bit of that kind of like fresh green hop character. Pine needles, resin. It smells awesome. Cheers. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Just like a nose, I like this beer has this pretty rich kind of marijuana character. Something about that kind of like crystal malt sweetness, and the pine resin thing is very resiny. And the berry flavor comes in a little bit. I forget the name of the beer, but like Carton used to make a beer that like was like a Swisher or something. It literally was his attempt to try and make like a hookah peach blunt kind of thing, and it was pretty fun. I don't think he actually used like a hemp product, but he definitely used a lot of fruit puree, and just came off like a fruited wrapper blunt marijuana kind of thingy. And this beer with natural flavors, without any fruit or hemp addition, has a little bit of that going on. The flavor intensities are definitely dropped. It's definitely reasonably bitter, and then has a really nice maltiness to it without being cloying, because the beer does have a nice medium bitterness to it. So it's actually not as bitter as like something like Torpedo or some of the other beers that they produce. And then there's a rounded kind of like, it's not quite Werther's, but it's a little bit of like caramelly sweetness. Almost around the sweetness of like maple syrup, but doesn't have maple syrup. So like, how about this? If they made maple syrup is, I believe, is like quote unquote maple syrup, like the Butterworth stuff is just like high fructose corn syrup or something, or dextrose, like some kind of like sugar product with added ingredients. Is that what it tastes like? Oh no. It doesn't taste like maple syrup, but like a very, very light caramel or something like that. What's the best analogy for that? Yeah, really light caramel, a little bit of that marijuana character, a little bit of that berry flavor. I feel when I had it fresh, it was just a lot more like exploding on the palate. Now it's just like really pulled back. It really doesn't express like the big flavors. Like, because I'm like echoing the flavors that I know the beer had, but like what's in this glass is not really quite there. So I have to think, you have to think hard, because like that makes sense to you guys? Like, like you have something really tasty fresh, but then when you have leftovers of it, it's not as enjoyable. But then you also think about the time when it was fresh and it was so delicious, right? Yeah, sort of the analogy. But it does have just right in the heart of this beer, exactly what I was smelling. It has that kind of just like, I mean, I imagine the thing. I've never had one, but if they had a raspberry cherry blunt, that's what it tastes like, and it's delicious. Not that I smoke raspberry blunts. I don't know anything about raspberry blunts, but it tastes like raspberry blunts, and You know, it tastes like marijuana and berries. Like that's why I love this beer so much early on, and it still tastes a little bit like that, or somewhat like that. Let's say somewhat. So, very tasty. Where this can is at? Let's go with the review or rating. It's super drinkable. Boy, oh boy. I still like the caramel sweetness on here. 6.2%. I like there's malt. Like, there ain't just too many beers out here with malt these days, right? Like, at least hoppy beers, malt. Amber lager sort of disappeared with, like, Boston, with the Sam Adams redoing the recipes. Fat Tire's gone, redone. Amber ale's not really quite a thing anymore. Red IPA is not really anything anymore. It's nice to have a hoppy beer with some malt to it. And it's rare. And it's so... I mean, I don't know what mark you are in, but for me, this has to be it. Like, there's nothing else. Like, this is it. This is the bee's knees if you want something of this color and hoppy. They got rid of Cigar City's, like, I think they had a beer called, like, Tocobago, like, Red Ale or whatever. It's all gone. So, nostalgia, great repeatability, pretty good impression. Again, fresher would be better. Relatively unique, like it has impression. Like, for me, this is impression. I love where that little middle part, just like, man, they sold marijuana, raspberry blunts all day, like somehow. Like, I love that. It still has that impression flavor to me, so I love that. Just a little bit of it. 3 months old, past its peak. It's still getting a solid 96. That's how freaking good this beer is. So if it's still in your market, ideal is fridge. Get it now. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait another year or maybe another 6, 7, 8 months. That's what nice thing about this. Cheers. Let me know what you think later.